Good morning, Wabash. Speaking today at Pioneer Chapel is Henry Swift with his talk titled, My Wabash Family. Henry Swift graduated from Wabash College with a major in theater in 2018. He grew up in Crawfordsville and decided to stay in town after graduating. He is currently working as a land surveyor in the Montgomery County area. While at Wabash, Henry was a member of the Sphinx Club and the Teak House. So please give a warm welcome for Henry Swift.
Good morning, Wabash. Good morning. I really can't tell you how cool that is to hear. I've sat through plenty of chapel talks, and I always thought it would be awesome to hear it from the other side, and it really is. I'd like to thank the Sphinx Club for inviting me to speak today. It's an honor to be back here addressing my alma mater. I'm especially thrilled that I get to address the college the day before the Final Four game. I'd always hoped I'd get to see Wabash play in an NCAA tourney. I've thought a lot about what I wanted to say today. I asked some friends of mine how they came up with their chapel talks. They said that they wanted to talk about something they would have wanted to hear while they were students. My favorite chapel talks were the ones that came from the heart and were obviously subjects the speaker cared about. So I'm here today to talk about the Wabash family, in particular, my Wabash family. When you ask Wabash men why they chose an all-male school that is academically challenging, a lot of them say a coach or a teacher told them how life-changing Wabash was for them. Others say their dad or uncle came here and they've heard the stories growing up. I fall into both of those categories, but my Wabash family extends beyond that. My grandfather, Bill Swift, and it's his birthday today, was a math professor here for 25 years. From what I've been told, he was a great professor, always fair in his grading and understanding of the students. And he was demanding and expected the best every day. He believed that if you show up to class, you're going to absorb something just by being present. He's not the only family member of mine who works or worked for the college. My mother, Beth Swift, who's here today, is the archivist and has been for the last 2 decades. If you haven't been down to the archives, you should take 10 minutes of your day and pop in. There's an amazing amount of our school history stored there, and my mom would be happy to share some of it with you. Growing up, it seemed like everywhere we went, my mom knew of some Wabash connection. The founder was a Wabash man, the boss was a Wabash man, and he was responsible for the success of the business. The place we were at was connected to the college or had some other deep ties to the college. I grew up hearing how influential Wabash men were, and it seemed like the whole world was shaped by Wabash. It's something that has stuck with me to this day. I asked my mom for a word that summarizes her experience at Wabash. She said it's hard to find just one word to summarize her time, but she landed on tapestry. In her words, it is the renewal of old traditions, it is the reminder of things past, and it is the knowledge that we're all part of what Byron Trippett called the tapestry that is the life of the college. Because my mom was a Wabash employee, my little sister and I grew up playing around at Wabash. We would play in the field house, on the pole vault pads, or go swimming in the pool. We would go to Wabash plays and concerts routinely. I was, and still am, a huge Wabash football fan. I would go do the push-ups with the Sphinx Club when I was a little kid. There's a cover of The Bachelor from back then when I was helping the club lead cheers. It made me want to join the club when I got to Wabash. My swim lessons teacher was a Wabash swimmer. My best friend growing up, who is one of the groomsmen in my wedding, is Dr. Murillo's son, Robin. We were both Wabash kids and spent a lot of time playing there. Basically, I grew up at Wabash, and it formed an everlasting love for the college. I didn't really appreciate the imprint Wabash made on me as a kid until I went college searching. I went to other schools and even went to homecoming at another NCAC school. Nothing compared to the passion I experienced at Wabash. The other school's homecoming was less exciting than any regular season home game at Wabash. There were alumni there who were passionate, but the crowd didn't fill up the stands and lacked the passion. After that game, I knew no other school was going to compare to the fervor that Wabash inspires in its fans. It already felt like home, even though I wasn't a student. Before I came to Wabash, I knew I wanted to join the Sphinx Club. They were the guys I grew up watching, and they exemplify the best the college has to offer in leadership and passion. I wanted to become one of those guys. I earned my stripes my sophomore year, became the first Wabash man to be in the club with his mother. My mom was voted in as an honorary Sphinx for her contributions to the college. When I was a Ryan, I couldn't bullshit her on what the Rhineys do because she already knew. One time I was back home for dinner and my mom aerated me in my backyard. That was pretty cool. My dad, Jim Swift, was director of the pep band for the first 5 years of its revival. He built it from nothing into the sound powerhouse we hear at games now. Beyond building the pep band, he's played in the Wabash Orchestra at various points and played in the pep band when he was in high school. His dad, my grandpa Bill, was a professor at Wabash the whole time he was growing up too. My dad took me to football and basketball games growing up, and he made sure I never missed a Monon Bell game. I was on his shoulders right at the edge of the end zone in 2001, the year of the catch. If the ball hadn't been caught, it would have knocked me off my dad's shoulders. I remember the fences around the field dropping in unison as time ran out and we won. That's the first Bell game I remember. I was 6. Since then, I've only missed one game. So far, I've told you guys about my mother, my dad, and my grandfather working for Wabash, but they aren't the only ones in my family to work here. My wife, Dr. Tori Swift, is the campus COVID coordinator. Most of the students here have met her, even if they didn't recognize her in her surgical gown and mask. She's been here for just over a year, and she's loving it. Something you guys might not know about her is she's a DePaul grad. That was one of the first things we connected on. Our shared love of the rivalry game gave us immediate common ground. The only people who understand the passion of the rivalry are the ones who are in it. Outsiders can appreciate it, but they don't get it. We've had our share of friendly arguments about who is better. Wabash is obviously better at football and basically everything else. I know she's rolling her eyes at me right now, but you guys know who's right. At the end of the day, neither of us will agree, but we would both rather our colleges win than anyone else. When I asked her for her word to summarize her time at Wabash, she came back to me with teamwork. She's been part of the student health team since she started. She said, there's always someone who has her back or there's someone to turn to. My little sister Betsy grew up with me at Wabash and has been in more Wabash plays than I can count. She was recently the assistant director of the 39 Steps. If you didn't catch it, you missed out on an amazing show. My favorite show of hers was Glass Menagerie back in 2018. It was incredible. Like my mother and my wife, I asked my little sister to summarize her time around Wabash. Her word was dynamic. She said it's reliably vibrant and ever-changing, even if the changes are subtle. Students come and go, faculty come and go, but the sense of passion and fervor stays the same. It was interesting to me to ask my family about their experiences and to hear how they would capture it in a word. Their perspectives are all widely different than mine, and it showed me different aspects of the college that I hadn't seen previously. My mother has had the opportunity to witness the college change while she's worked here, and my sister Betsy has had similar but different experiences in the theater department. I was only at Wabash for 4 years, so to me, the college is frozen in time. I was especially thrilled when I heard my wife, Tori, tell me that her time at Wabash could be summarized by the word teamwork. To me, that's what I remember the most about Wabash. There was always someone ready to help you out, no matter when or where. So that's my family's involvement with Wabash. It's safe to say I've been shaped by my relationship with Wabash. A deep love for all things Wabash was instilled in me at a young age and still thrives in my heart. But I'm not here to just talk about my family. I'm here to talk about the Wabash family. I grew up here, so I wanted to go anywhere else for college. I wanted to get out of Crawfordsville and see the world. One of my English teachers in high school told me that I would be able to see more of the world and grow more at Wabash than a lot of other places. He said that the education alone would broaden my horizons and the travel opportunities at Wabash were unparalleled. I listened patiently, but I still wanted to leave. I went on a whole bunch of college visits, but something was missing at every school I went to. Their academics were amazing. Extracurriculars blew me away. And the towns they were set in were gorgeous or they were big cities. On paper, I had a bunch of colleges that would give me what I was looking for. Something was still missing, though. I didn't really know what it was until I did an overnight at Wabash. I was just doing it so I could check Wabash off my list and tell my grandmother I had visited. I didn't expect to love the school as soon as I stepped on campus, though. The passion everyone I talked to had blew me away. I realized that's what was missing from the rest of the visits I went on. Their schools were amazing, facilities were state-of-the-art. I mean, really, compared to the Wabash I knew growing up, other schools looked way better. But they didn't have the passion. I talked to students, and they spoke well of their school, but it was just a place to get an education for them. It wasn't home. It wasn't family. When I came to Wabash, it was obvious that this is a place where people care. It is home, and it is family. The students I talked to raved about Wabash. They loved being here. I hadn't seen that, and I was hooked immediately. I came for Honor Scholar Weekend a couple weeks later, and by the time I went to bed Sunday, I'd sent in my deposit. The men here were different. They love Wabash in a way that I really hadn't seen at any other school. And they love each other as brothers. I loved the Greek system here. I loved how the different fraternities got along. You don't see that at other schools. I love how the brothers in the houses actually seemed like family. It wasn't just a show they were putting on for Rush. The realness of Wabash hooked me, and I've never looked back. Attending Wabash is one of the best decisions I've ever made. I got blessed with a nationwide family that I can call on at any time. Any city you go to has a network of Wabash men who are ready to help a brother out. As an alumni, you have access to a database listing alums who are in that city and their contact information. I'd recommend if you move, if you're ever in a new city and just looking for someone to chat with, hit it up. That's my little plug for the alumni network. The friends I made at Wabash are still my very best friends. My pledge brother, Nathan Lewis, was the best man at my wedding. We connected during pledgeship, and he's been one of the most important people in my life ever since. My teak brother, Sean Best, who's sitting right here, flew all the way up from Dallas to be here for my chapel talk. I talk to my pledge brother, Brett Wyatt, at least once a week, if not more. He's great at giving me a boost when I need it. To quote the movie Neighbors, "We are the family you get to choose, and we don't get divorced." I know it's a cheesy quote, but it sums up my relationship with my Wabash brothers perfectly. Some guys I only get to see once a year. I wish it was way more often. But when we're back together, it's like things haven't changed. My Wabash brothers are the men I turn to when life gets hard. I trust them implicitly, and I know they'll tell me what I actually need to hear. I could go on about how special the friends you make are, but I don't need to tell you guys that. You already know. If I could offer a piece of advice, keep contact with your Wabash brothers as you grow up. Your paths may differ, but they will always be there for you, and you will always share the formative years you spent here under the Scarlet Banner. The Wabash family is enormous and inclusive. I'm honored that I got to speak to you about it today because it is one of the great passions of my life. Wabash isn't just a college, it's a way of life. Any alum you run into down the road will be excited to meet another Wabash man, and if you let them, they'll talk your ear off about it all night. It was some of the best times of their life. Wabash is an amazing place. It molds boys into men and teaches them how to be good men who work hard and love their people. Wabash Always Fights isn't just a slogan to be yelled at football games. It's a life motto. On that note, I thank you all for spending the time to listen to me speak. I'm honored that I get to address the Wabash family. Go to Little Giants, beat Elmhurst. Wabash is forever. Wabash always fights.